Okay, go ahead.
All right. Why don't you tell us a little something about yourself and what prompted you to write this book for a starter?
Sure. Okay, I'm a business professional. Over the last, I would say, 25 years, I've worked as an accountant, and I am a CPA. And over the years, I have mentored dozens of women and young men over the years. And I've always said that one day I would like to write a book just to help the students or the new workers who are coming out, just to, so they have one place to look up all these different things that can occur on the job. And it was always in the back of my mind, but never had a chance to do it. And then I became 50, and I said, okay, instead of going to get another degree or something like that, why don't I write this book? And so that's how I came about writing the book.
Okay. Now, this book is a kind of a how-to guide on ways to maintain your first job or any job longer and easier, or did I misunderstand?
No, you're right. Basically, the book, and I had several people to read it, they said that they would have loved to have this book when they first started out at work. But also, they did say that this book also goes over some things, that they thought was, that was still useful to know. But basically, it is for new people who are just out of school or out of high school or just on their first job. And basically, it goes over a lot of basic things. Some things might be kind of elementary, but as one of my reviewers had put it, it's okay that it's elementary because either you learn it now in this manner or you learn it through the school of hard knocks, in a sense, like you make this mistake and like, oh, But what I mean is that it'll go over things such as performance evaluations, how to dress, how to deal with difficult coworkers, what happens when, if you get fired, all of those typical things that could come on the job. And also I go into all the different personalities that you may meet on the position.
I wish something like that was out when I was new to the workforce. I was going to a job every year and a half.
Yeah. But you know what happened? One of the things is that for me, it wasn't all rosy when I first got out there myself. But basically, when I look back at it, and that's also in the book, I had mentors all along. You just don't know that you have mentors. And then you have people who are actively helping you out, and then you have people who you admire, that you see what they do, and you try to help out. But if you're a person who's never had any background as far as different things that can come to the job, and it's more about not the work, about people's different personalities, this office gossip, the competition, being a leader, taking that step, trying to get out there and making the next step into your career. There's a lot of people who don't know how to prepare for it, so I kind of go through a lot of those basics of different things that you may encounter. I go over different kind of personalities, people who, you kind of bump heads with, but how do you deal with that person? How do you work with that person without having to always be, bumping heads with that person? Or difficult bosses, how do you work with a boss who have different needs? So I kind of go into that as well.
Yeah, I think for me an important thing that I learned was that all bosses are just like all the employment staff. They have their own unique individual needs and weaknesses, and
Yes.
their needs and weaknesses dictate how they socialize with you.
Right, and that is so true. Bosses are just as human as we are, and once upon a time they were in our place. So, and sometimes they may forget, but one of the, that they were in your place was, the new employees. But another thing is that new employees may not realize all the things that are going on at the boss's level. So I kind of go into things that they may be, trying to address, and this is why they may not trying to address the basic things. So what I try to tell the new employee, this is your time to step up and give suggestions instead of, staying in the background complaining. What can you do to offer solutions? And so that's one of the things I try to, talk with the employee. They may not be aware of just the little basic things because they're busy trying to keep the doors open, trying to pay the bills, how I'm going to meet payroll next year, next week. It's all those little things that may be going on at the boss's level. And then also they may be just removed. So, I try to give them ideas of how they can, when they have an idea, it's okay to present it, but also don't get mad if it's not acted on right away because, bosses are human beings. They may not be ready to, depending on what kind of suggestion you made, they may not be ready to just make that quick change, but then again, they may appreciate that you're even concerned about that. So, yes, they're human just like us.
Isn't that kind of a slippery slope, presenting your idea, since some bosses will take it as you're trying to run their show and other bosses to be appreciative?
Now, it depends on the boss and the person that you deal with. A boss who has self-confidence and they're comfortable with who they are would appreciate people bringing in fresh ideas. Yes, you do have some bosses who wants to run everything, but in my 25 years or more, most of the bosses that I've had, some may have had issues, but the majority of them are looking for bright young people to come in and, help, take this company to the next level. And it may not be the owner. It could be the supervisor. Yes, you are right. It is a slippery slope, and it can be not just the boss that may be intimidated. It could be your coworkers who might be intimidated.
That's true.
And so, right. So it really depends on the work environment. But again, I would like to think that most people, when they bring you in, they don't want to waste time having to train an employee, a new one, all the things that they can do, and then they're leaving because the work environment is not, comfortable, or it's not something that your employees can succeed in. Their goal is to, hey, I'm spending the money to recruit you. Now that I have you here, I hope if you're new, I know you're learning. But if you have some experience, I'm hoping that you're bringing something that you learned from another job. So how can we improve? And that's ultimately the goal. And yes, you are going to have some coworkers who may be intimidated by it. But then again, not everybody's going to be comfortable. But it's about, you want to get to know everyone. People do not want change right away. That's one of the things that I've discovered. They want to first get used to you. They want to make sure they can trust you, that you have their back, that, everything that you're here to help us and not just come in and disrupt. So you do have that going on.
Right. I kind of like personally what I call the Garibaldi boss on Babylon 5, where he hires a whole group of people and fires the old staff and hires the new one and says, I'm hiring you because you had attitudes. I expect you to come to my face if something's wrong or you got a better way. Here's the deal, though. If you're right, you're going to get promoted or you're going to get something good out of it. If you're wrong, you're out of here.
Okay. And, I haven't come across a boss like that. But one of the things that I try to tell people in my years of experience, I'm not looking to take my boss's job, but I wouldn't mind if he's, if it's a job that he may leave one day and this is something that I might perhaps be able to take over, then fine. I'm going to do everything to show him that that I'm his left hand and his right hand. I try to tell people, always think ahead of things. Be proactive. And the reason you want to do that, because if the business goes down, there's a change in the economy, you don't want to be the first person that they're looking to fire. You want to be one of those persons, no, I want to keep her or him because this person is going to, is going to be there. They're a team player. They're going to help us when the ship is falling. And I don't have any drama with that person. That's the other thing. Bosses don't want to raise kids. We want to supervise adults, not raise kids. And so that means that all that bad stuff, that baggage that you may have had as a child, you need to, somehow you want a mature person. because it will carry over, if you don't, if you're not mature. I find that some of the employees that you deal with, some employees you may have to keep them because you have no choice in the matter. It could be that it's hard to find someone in that position, or there's some other things that are going on. But you try to put them in a position where they can help you the most, so that they are not baggage to you.
Right. So to the ones that's having trouble approaching some of these bosses that are less than open, what kind of advice would you give them?
Okay. What I would try to do is, I think most people want you to be upfront with them instead of being on the sidelines talking about them. And I would like to say that hopefully you will come across a person that's receptive to what you have to say, but it's all about the approach, because a lot of times what I tell people too, like, I'm having a problem with this work, but how do I tell my boss? What I try to, how do I tell them that this is not working out? What I try to do is, you want to come with a solution, not coming off as a complainer. You want to be able to say, okay, this is not working, but this is one way that we can fix this, that so it will work. And the boss may be a lot more receptive to that. Are you going to find somebody who's not going to be receptive or doesn't hear anything? Yes, you are. But they may not hear you today, but they may have to think about it. And hopefully they'll come back to you and say, hey, you know what, that idea that you were talking about, I think, that may work. Again, most people who are in supervising positions and hopefully bosses, the majority of them are confident in what they are, what they're doing. They do have some self-esteem about themselves. So hopefully they will be receptive to the issues that you're bringing. But it's all, again, about the approach. You don't want to come, where it feels like you're putting them down. You want to come as if you're helping out. So I hope that helps. Right.
And are there some other tidbits of advice you got for some of these people?
Yeah, okay. And when you read the book, you'll see a lot more, but things that I can, just rattle off. Like in the book, okay, especially if you're a new person, okay, I do talk about the clothing as far as how you should dress. And basically, if you're not sure, dress, the way hopefully in the same manner, professional manner that it took for you to get the job. Once you get there, basically, if you see that as a casual, business casual, then go ahead that way. I talk about performance evaluations. It's a lot of people, for the first time on a job, that's the very first time they ever been evaluated. And what I tell them, it's just like taking a test in school. And so what you want to do is, instead of waiting to find out how they're going to evaluate you, go on the Internet. I even give examples in my book about the different things that they can evaluate you on. When I had mine, I was like, wow, I didn't even realize they were looking at all these things. The team building, not just job knowledge. Usually you're just wondering if you're on time, do you get the work done, do you complete your assignments? No, they're looking at, are you a
motivated?
Proactive? Yeah. Are you motivated? Are you proactive? Can you work in a team? Are you flexible? When I come up to you, are you approachable, or do everyone in the team don't want to approach you because you have a bad attitude? These are things that people, need to see. Also, people think just being late to work, one or two times, they may be thinking about making sure you do that. But no, bosses want to make sure that you're going to get the assignments completed and do a good job with it. The other thing that I talk about is, you want to be the person I call the go-to person, not do I have to go to her person. And what I mean is that you want to be a person who's going to complete the job and get it done right the first time. You don't want someone who's going to do it half. You want a person also who's going to, just be proactive and make some decisions. I talk about that, too, because sometimes you have bosses who don't want you to make a move without asking them, okay? So with that said, there's different kinds of bosses, and that's important for you to understand who your boss is. Sometimes bosses want you to just take care of it. Other bosses want you to wait a second before you make a move. Let me see what you're doing. And usually those kind of bosses are not used to you, and they need to be comfortable with your decision. So once they know that you have this work, you know how to do it, and they can trust you in the kind of work that you're doing, presenting, those kind of bosses are going to be comfortable with you over time. So you get different people at different, levels. You think people have autonomy. You do have autonomy, but not the kind that you think you have when you first come in the door. So you don't. What you want to do is take small steps until you know that they're comfortable with you.
That makes a lot of sense. And also, you got to remember, a lot of bosses are new.
Yeah, they're new themselves, and you are so right about that. That's another thing that I talk about. You have some employees who are saying, well, this boss doesn't even know how to do a sales spreadsheet. What do they know? Okay, and so what I try to tell people, don't knock somebody down for not knowing everything, because, number one, they're hiring you to do certain things, and you're going to be that expert in that area. Yes, bosses are more big-picture type people, so they may not know A, B, and C, but they became a boss for a reason, and they got there. And then, like you said, they make mistakes themselves. And, that's a part two of my series. I'm going to talk about this person who gets promoted. But I never kind of gave you a backdrop to the book. Is that okay if I give you a little backdrop?
Sure.
Okay. What's happening is that the book is there's a narrator, and then there's a new person. Her name is Katie, and it's like her first year on the job. And so basically, I try to walk her through all the different things that she can go through, and things that she probably wouldn't even think about, that may occur. Like, for one thing, I had mentioned, people don't know, if you're first out of high school, your parents know about benefits, and what you would think of as far as benefits, you probably think, well, I got a vacation, maybe got some sick time, and you get the pay. Most new employees don't know there's about 1,000 other fringe benefits that you may have, so I go through that list. But the other thing, and what I mean is that there's also disability, there's full 3B plans, there's tuition payment reimbursement. So I go through the basic insurances and then things that are extra. But one of the things I mentioned in the book, sometimes people will say, well, I don't need that. And I tell them, if it's free, take it. And sign up for it, because you may not know mentally that you need it today, but down the road you'll realize that it's important. Because a lot of times when we're young, we think we're going to live forever, we won't get sick, and, all those things happen. So that's one of the things I try to go into, the fine lines of things. Another thing is I tell them, you may be asked to volunteer, and you may be asked to donate. And so, I go into, why it's important that you do this. And then also, if you still don't agree with it, then you know what? This is one of those times that you just got to put it to the side and just say it is what it is, and just go through the process. So, but anyway, Katie goes through the full year of work, and, I go over all the different things that can come her way. Even office romance. I don't get into it long-winded, but I do talk about that as well.
Well, do you find tardiness to be an issue?
You know what? You asked the wrong person. And only because, and the reason I say the wrong person, I've been fortunate to have a position where you don't have to be on time. And although I worked in different companies where the people do need to be on time. And again, it's about treating the person as an adult. With me, because of my position, I don't have to have, I'm not, there's more flex time with the positions that I've had. And over the years, each company I've worked with, although they start at 8, I'm the only person that's probably on payroll that always come in about 9 or 10. But one of the things is that the reason that I'm able to do that, I'm able to work better when no one's around. So even though I may come in at 10, but I'm staying to 6. I will give the time and then some. So, but as far as tardiness, I have been in positions where people do have tardiness, And I do talk about that, especially being late on the first day of work. We have that as well, And so I talk about the importance of making sure you know where you're going on the first day, because you never know what the drive will be like. Or, do you have to take a bus or, for parking and all those good things. But when you do have tardiness, one of the things that, and I didn't dwell too much on that, and I guess I talk about it, but I don't dwell as much on it. I try to treat people as adults. And one of the things, you do have some positions that are rigid, and you need to understand if you go into that field, like if you're a school teacher, you have to be there. You have to be there when school starts because the children are there. So there's no leverage there. So, you have to work with that individual. But see, usually it's a problem beyond just being tardy. There's something else going on with that individual. And so you may have to work with that. And then again, that may be, maybe this is not a win-win for both the employee and employer. And if they can't get in, if they can't show up, then, that's something that's required of the job. You may have to move on to another position. Maybe this is not meant for you.
Right. Well, I know most bosses I worked with, they always wanted to look for a win-win situation.
Yes, right. And that's what you want. For me, and I guess my employees over the years, they love that I don't nickel and dime them. I don't care if you're 5 minutes, 10 minutes late, as long as we're getting the work done. And then also you're putting the time in. And most of my employees, basically, you work better in that way. Again, we're not looking to babysit kids. We want to get the work done. We want a stress-free environment. And, it goes, it comes and goes. But like a roller coaster sometimes. But 9 times out of 10, most people just want to come in and do the work. And 9 times out of 10, the problem is not with the work. It's dealing with a different personality.
Yeah, the ability to get along with coworkers and as well as superiors.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Which we got to understand, from what I can tell, that in many places there is a management and underling mentality going on. Yes. Not everywhere, mind you, but there are some places.
Right, and that's anywhere. Not everything's going to be perfect, but you do hear about those places where it's a dream job to have. But even with your dream job, you're going to find that there's going to be some problems, but nothing that that's really bad. But I think going to work you have to be there for 8 hours, 5 days a week.
Long, boring, tedious hours.
Okay, so wherever you're going, you want to go somewhere where you're going to enjoy it. You don't want to go to a place where you just do not enjoy it. And then also, you should not make, although the job should be a place, it should be a win-win. Yes, you're providing an expertise or a skill to your employer, and your employer is providing something as far as in return, they're reimbursing you for your skill level. But it should always be a win-win. And when it's not a win-win and you're always unhappy, then you probably need to go look for some other place for employment. And I know that's not easy. That's easier said than, than you're able to do it. Done, yes. But if you say, I know some employees, they're never happy. At some point, it's time to move on. And they're not moving on because of their own, in their own mentality. But, that's just something, you do come across in the workplace. But for the most part, you're going to be there for 8 hours. You want to be happy, not, bouncing off the walls, but you want to enjoy what you're doing.
And you also probably ought to maintain a healthy attitude with the other people that don't have one.
Right. And you're so right about that. You come in and be happy. Smile. A lot of people, not a lot, some people don't smile or just got a chip on their shoulder. But the point is, don't allow them to, don't you become one of them. And if you are one, you're going to need to work on yourself, But for the most part, you don't, and also people may put too much in work. There's also, outside of those 8 hours, you got another 24 hours a day. So you got another 16 hours that you can have joy in your life, have some balance. There's something else besides work that can balance, the idea that you do have to go to work. But if you're looking at it as a chore, yeah, it's going to be a chore because this is what you chose for now. If you work on something, to get to where you want to be, then hopefully you'll be at a place that you have passion for.
Okay. Now, real quick, is there anything you want to cover I didn't think to ask?
One of the things is if you have any viewers, I mentioned this, that I wouldn't mind giving out a free copy to one of your callers, and you can choose anyone who that is, but I wouldn't mind sending out the book. But one of the things I do want to mention, the book can be found on Amazon.com. It's $14.95, but also it's $2.99 for Kindle. So for those who have the you can get an e-version of the book. I am going to be at Centers Row in Chicago this June, so if you want to come out and meet me there, you can. I also do a lot of combined book exhibits where different book shows. The book is being shown. It's going to be in different places. So on my, I have a website. I'm sorry. It's called Avoiding the Dodgeballs. So I will list the different places where you can see the book. But if you want to meet me, again, June 6th, if I'm not mistaken, is a Saturday. I might be off on the exact date, but it's like the first weekend in June, and it's called Prentice Row, and it's a nice book exhibit where all the authors come out. And yes, I will be under the Women's Writers of Illinois, from Illinois Women's Press. I'm sorry, I'm saying it wrong, but definitely will be there to sign copies of the book.
Okay. Do you ever come down to Texas area?
That's on my list. I went to the American Library Association in January, and most of the people told me that their next place is Texas. So I said I won't be able to do it this year, but I'm going to definitely go to the book fair next year. And I have to find out exactly where it's going to be. But if I'm not mistaken, you're out of Houston. Am I correct?
Right.
Okay. So I'll look to see whether or not that book fair is held in Houston. And that's one of my that's on my to-do list.
Okay.
So I'm going to try to make a trip every year. Last year, I just wanted to let you know, I launched the book in New York at the Book Expo America, and that was fun. It was expensive, but it was fun.
All right.
And so each year, I'm going to try to go a different place each year. So I will add that to my list. And most of my colleagues were telling me you got to go to this festival that's been held in Texas. So I'm going to find out exactly where it is. But I think it was either in Houston or Austin, but I think it was Houston.
That sounds good to me. Now,
Yeah.
I show that we got about roughly 5 to 10 minutes left. Do you want to continue, or because you said something earlier about having to go in 25 minutes?
Yeah, I would like to wrap up in 5 minutes. Is that okay?
That sounds good to me.
Okay, so do you have any more questions for me?
What about any last-minute thoughts?
I can just talk about the process of the writing and all that good stuff. Becoming a first-time writer was very interesting. I initially didn't think I could write this. I thought, when I first tried it, I had about 19 pages of just some thoughts, random thoughts, and it was kind of hard. I didn't think it was a book. And then one day I was listening to public radio, and there was a author there, and I think she was the first person to write. Her name is Amanda, to become the first person to sell 1 million books on either Kindle or ebooks. And so one of the things she told me, for anyone who's interested in writing, is that you really got to treat this like a job. You got to go at it. And so what I did was I attempted it again, and I looked up 200 pages later, 6 months later, basically I had a manuscript. And of course, it took me about 2 more years just tweaking it, getting it right, and I'm really happy with the end product. And so hopefully, I want to make sure I'll email you to find out where I can send the book to get you a copy as well.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah, and I definitely, I'll email you tonight just to get your address, just to see where I can send it. But also, if there's a person that you want to Also, as a contest to issue the book, that is fine. All I ask is that if you get a chance, can you write a review? Also, you can read the reviews on Amazon.com. I have some great reviews also on Goodreads. I was told that getting a good review from Kirkus is a good one, and I got one. I did receive one. I was very surprised that Kirkus was one of these places. I didn't realize how important they were until the people at the American Library Association told me, you got a good review from Kirkus? That's great. So, I kind of use that as a sell, too. But, yes, everyone who's read it, it's just a matter of getting it in front of people. They are very pleased with it, and they would highly recommend it to not just women, but also men.
Okay, that sounds pretty good, and I'm glad you're getting it recommended by other people. I mean, word of mouth is a pretty powerful means of advertising.
Yeah, thank you, and I greatly appreciate you having me on. This is my second interview, and you know what? You've made me feel so comfortable, and I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I'm just glad you stuck with me after I had all that trouble at the beginning.
Oh, no problem. It was worth the wait.
Thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead, I guess, cut you loose since you got something going on.
Okay, well, thank you. And
thank you.
So take care, and hopefully with my next book, definitely going to send you an email to see whether or not I can get on for the next one. But it'll be a minute before I get that one out. Okay, talk to you.
Talk to you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, everyone, I don't have long before the music starts. I thought I'd mention I just got out of the hospital last night, and I'm having trouble talking because I'm winded. But I was informed that I'm now in the 4 stages of COPD, and on top of that, I've got multiple blisters on my left lung and 1 blister on my right lung. The right lung is a dead lung, so I'm assuming if it pops, I'm not using that lung anyway. But, if a blister pops, the lung collapses. So I'm more worried about the blisters on the left side, the multiple ones. They wanted me to start looking into hospice. I'm in a situation where I can continue to live and do shows another 2 years, or I could pop one of the blisters on the good lung, maybe die gasping for air, I don't know. Things are kind of up in the air for me right now. I guess it's needless to say, I'll never be able to guarantee when I'll be here at the show and when I won't. But I can promise you guys I'll do my best. I'm due to go to the doctor tomorrow. I'm going to tell him about the shortness of breath and see if I can find out what's going on. But I thought you guys had a right to know, so I wanted to throw that in real quick before the music started. Also, this coming Thursday, oh wait, that's Friday. Okay, Thursday, looks like I got Check the Evidence with Andrew Johnson, if you guys want to make that show. I've also got, but that's Friday at a different location, Defrauding America, but I don't want to mention that one. If there's anything you guys want to ask me before the music starts, pop that bad boy in the chat room real quick. If not, as you know, there's not much time left. In fact, there it went right there. Thank you for attending, folks. Hope to see you next Thursday.